Pesachim Daf test. Today's email comes from David Holder. He says, originally I'm from Manchester, England, the place that Mark Twain wrote, I would like to live in Manchester, England. The transition between Manchester and death would be unnoticeable. I went to very yeshivas. They were so yeshivish that humor of any kind was forbidden. To this day, I have a negative association with learning. So after 30 years, I've decided to join you on your journey, starting with Pesachim. I'm really enjoying it, and I feel I will stick with this because I like you. I like you for two reasons. One, you have a sense of humor. You're learning with respect, but not so dry as to not be able to be humorous and casual. Learning should be fun, not a toil to be dreaded. And even more importantly, number two, you like Glenfiddich IPA. It's not the most common bottle. Once I saw the bottle in your cabinet, I just knew we were a good match. Don't spoil it by telling me you never drink, someone bought it for you, you don't even know what it is, you didn't realize you had it. Just let me believe that you love it. Whatever it takes, David. As long as we're learning Torah together, I'm all for it. So welcome aboard. Be'ezer Hashem will finish Shas together. Today's a brand new Mishnah, brand new topic. The Mishnah tells us we don't have to be concerned that some sort of animal like a weasel came into your house and moved chametz from one room to the other. But if you see the weasel in your house with chametz, now you have to be concerned. And you have to redo the entire b'dika, check your house again. Bread is not something that a weasel is known to finish. So therefore you have to check it. Whereas it comes to meat, especially soft meat, that of a nafel, for instance, we'll say that he probably finished it off. So therefore, the halacha is, in Chutz La'aretz, you cannot go, in Eretz Yisrael, you can't go into a guy's house if he lived there for 40 days, concerned that perhaps his wife or someone else had a miscarriage and buried the body in the house, and you become tummy from oil, or according to Rishon Chai, by touching it. However, if there are known weasels in the house, you could go into the house. The weasel ate the body, or a pig can eat the body. Rava says there's no comparison between the case of a nafel and chametz. Case of a nafel, it's a suffix. We don't know if his wife miscarried or not, and if she did, maybe an animal ate it. Over here, we see with our own eyes an animal moving around with chametz. That's a concern that you have to deal with, and you have to do a bdika. What about the case where you have a chaver, someone who's really careful with truma, and he filled up his storehouse, his warehouse, and he died that day? That's different. You're right that fruit is tevel. And unless we know for a fact that he took Trumas and Maasros, we shouldn't have reason to believe that he took Trumas and Maasros. But this case is different because he's a chaver. And a chaver has a chazaka that he takes Trumas and Maasros. So one pshat in the Gemara is, it's a vada against a vada. He certainly took Trumas and Maasros, even though we're contending with fruit that certainly doesn't have Trumas and Maasros. The other pshat in the Gemara is we're dealing with a suffix and a suffix. We don't know that these fruit have a chiyuv of Trumas and Maasros. Why is that? Because the only time you're chayav of Trumas and Maasros is if there's a gemar malacha, you finish doing everything you need to do, you smoothed out the pile, and then you brought it into your house through the front door. If you bring it into your house through a skylight, the back door, or you bring in unfinished wheat with its shaft, you're not chayav in Trumas and Maasros. So perhaps this chaver brought it in a way that he's not chayav at all. So therefore it's a suffix, and the suffix perhaps even took Maasros, so it's a suffix and a suffix, and therefore we assume they could eat it. What about the story where there was a shivcha who threw an afterbirth into a pit? A kohen went to check out what's the status, what is it exactly? So the Gemara explains the reason why they said that this kohen is tar is because, first of all, we don't even know what went into the pit. Perhaps it's just a bag. It's not even a nafel, it's not a miscarriage. And even if it's a miscarriage, maybe a chulda, a weasel, came and moved it away. The kohen was trying to see, was it a zachar and she's tummy for 7 days and then she has 33 days of tahara, or is it an akeva and she has 14 days of tumah and 66 days of tahara? Regardless, this weasel has a chazaka. The way it operates is once it finds food, it moves it to another area. Unlike what we said before, that doesn't finish bread, that's something else. It'll eat part of the bread and leave some over, but over here it certainly moves the body to somewhere else. This, the halacha that we're going to have tomorrow, and that is that if you have chametz left over after a bdikas chametz, you should put the chametz in a safe place so that a weasel doesn't come, and according to Abaya, a weasel might come and take the chametz, because if it's the 13th, there's plenty of chametz around, but since it's the 14th, it's going to hide the chametz. Says Rava, how does a weasel know that it's the 14th? Is this a weasel that has nevuah, chulda hanaviyah, so to speak? So therefore, Rava says the concern is that the weasel is going to take the chametz right in front of you. and then that will require you to make another bdika. Therefore, put the chametz in a safe place. Rav Mari says we're concerned that you basically following Rava, but with a little bit more explanation. We're concerned that you had 10 pieces of chametz, and then you'll find only 9. It didn't happen in front of you, but there's good reason to believe that the weasel moved the chametz. And now the Gemara goes into halachas psukos. These are real halachas lemaisa, very interesting halachas that go all the way into tomorrow's daf. What if you have 9 piles of matzah and 1 pile of chametz? Comes a mouse and takes from one of the piles, we don't know which one, and brings it into the house. Are you mechuyev in b'dika? Well, if he took it directly from the pile, then we have the concept called kol kavua kemechza mechza. If let's say there's 10 stores, 9 of them are selling kosher, 1 of them is selling treif, the stores are stationary, just like these piles are stationary, and you go into one of the stores, you don't recall which store it was, we're going to say it's a 50% chance that you went into the treif, the meat is usher to eat. So too over here, you have to recheck your house. However, if the meat is on the sidewalk in front of the stores, or in this case, the chametz fell off of one of the piles, now it's called the parish. It's already removed from the stationary. Called the parish, meruba parish, and therefore since 9 out of the 10 are kosher stores, 9 out of the 10 piles are matzah, you don't have to recheck your house, you can eat the meat. If you have 2 piles of, one is chametz, one is matzah, and right in front of these piles, 2 homes. One was checked for chametz, one wasn't checked. Come 2 mice and take from each pile, go into the homes. We don't know if the chametz went into the unchecked home or the chametz went into the checked home. We assume that the chametz went into the unchecked home and the matzah went into the checked home. Very similarly we have a very similar halacha. If you have 2 boxes, one has chulin, one has truma, and then you took from the 2 boxes and you put into giant boxes, vats that have fruit, chulin and truma, we could assume that the truma went into the truma box and the chulin went into the chulin box, because bisman hazeh in our days, truma is only midrabanan. So is b'dikas chametz. Midaraisa, all you have to do is be mevatel the chametz in your heart. Midrabanan, you have to do a b'dika. Therefore, we were making and we said the chametz went to the unchecked house and the matzah went to the checked house. Have a wonderful day.